Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this morning. Got a great show lined up. Got some interesting guests. Going to bring some great pictures and some great stories to you. I already heard of one that you're not going to believe, but we'll get to it just as soon as we finish our weather. Brought to us by Haney Technical Center at 767-5500. Now, the weather is sort of straightened up a little bit. It's going to be up about 84 degrees, and low tonight it's going to be down to 64. We have some cool weather coming in soon. So it may even get to 50s pretty soon. I know we'll all be excited about that. Now, water temperature dropped down to 82 degrees, but our river readings, take a look at our river readings. Apalachicola remains about this, and it's popped up a little bit this morning. It's at a 1.2. The Choctawhatchee is on the rise, folks. It's at 5.4 this morning, and we're looking at it getting to 10 foot maybe by the weekend, okay? Now, we're going to take a look at our tide chart. The tides, I called Blair Morgan. Blair's not in right now, so I'm going to call him tomorrow. But Blue Water Outrigger midweek report will be on tomorrow, on Thursday, okay? Now, let's take a look at our tides. We're looking at, today is the 19th, okay, the 19th, and we're looking at a high tide at 9:17 this morning and a low tide at 12:02, right after midnight. So, good strong tide at a 1.2 range and a good weekend tide coming up, all right? Like I said, we'll call Captain Blair Morgan tomorrow for our Blue Water report. Now, let's take our first break, and we'll be right back. And we're back, and our special guest this morning from Divers Den, Bob Stapleton.
Good morning.
Good morning, Clay Galbraith.
Morning.
Good to see y'all. Well, you know, this is one of our big sponsors. We just tickled to have them on the show. Our technology is just leaping up on us, isn't it?
Well, we're trying to catch up with it.
We're going to do some technology. They brought some great pictures instead of printing them out. We're going to try to show them to them on a laptop. But before we get to that, Clay, you were just telling me an interesting story about you went out for some lobsters. Let's tell the folks this story.
Well, about a year ago, I seen the first lionfish in our waters, and we went out last week and killed 40 of them in one day. 3 of us on a boat doing dives. They have multiplied so fast that we actually killed 40 of them.
We have talked about this on the show before. The FWC says it's just a huge problem down south of us, but now they've got up in our waters now.
Yeah, they're here now.
You see them too?
Oh yeah, sure. On the inshore wrecks and stuff, you see them, yeah.
Wow.
I hadn't seen them enough to kill 40 of them, but they're good.
And the FWC wants we want to get rid of all of them. They say they're voracious feeders.
Yeah.
So they are. They were all plenty big. They're fat. They're eating a lot of stuff. Most of them we done away with. We're in 115, 125 foot of water.
I've talked to some divers that said they're trying to train the grouper and snapper to eat them because they say if they kill them and drop them, that the snapper and grouper will eat them. But apparently they don't catch them when they're live. Now, it might be killing the snapper and grouper to eat them with those spines on them because they're pretty tough.
Well, and Bob, when we were hitting them with a poke pole and wounded them, tearing a hole in the side of them, the trigger would actually come up and bite them and start attacking them in the wound you would put in them.
Is that right?
But they will be side by side till you wound them. Once you wound them, tear a hole in them, and the triggers would actually start eating them.
Now that'd be cool if we'll get some video of that next time y'all do that. We'll get some more video. That'd be cool.
They're pretty fish. I mean, nice to look at.
They are pretty on the pictures.
Right.
But I know we won't get rid of them. Now, what else is going on underwater? We always talk about on top of the water.
Clay's been out grabbing bugs.
What you been
doing?
Well,
we done the lobster tournament this weekend at Schooners.
Yeah.
We got a second place in Spiny and a second place in Shovel. Missed out on the big 6 by just less than a pound.
Wow.
But we had a good weekend.
Well, good. About how deep of water y'all been going in?
Most of the lobsters were taken in 110 to 120 foot of water.
Okay, let's take it. Here they are right here, folks.
Yeah, there's some of the catch.
that's a nice catch there. Tell the folks there's your lionfish.
This thing. There's
our lionfish right there.
Yeah.
We're doing technology here this morning, so
we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
What other kind of lobsters? Well, you got lobsters, and what else you got there? You got
both kinds that are here.
Okay.
The Florida spiny lobster and shovel-nosed lobster.
Okay, shovel-nosed and the spiny. Those two there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good eating. Real good eating.
Excellent eating. Especially the shovel-nosed. Shovel-nosed are actually better eating than the spinies.
You can tell the difference between them, huh? I didn't realize that. Okay, that's it.
Here's that one of the lionfish. That was on one of the wrecks right inshore where we dive. All these pictures that we'll be looking at today, all but one were taken right around here on these inshore wrecks and reefs right within 5 miles of the pass. I think a lot of people don't realize what great diving we have around here and things to look at.
Yeah, and I think, talking about within 5 miles of pass, everybody can get that far out.
Sure.
A decent sized boat.
Yeah. Okay. This is a little cardinal fish on the hovercraft, and it's interesting to see all the color that's there. Now, you don't see that color when you're down there swimming around because the colors get absorbed by the water, but when the flash goes off, it pops the color out. But, I mean, there's a battle going on there with all these coralline algae trying to take over each other, and there's a sea urchin over on the side. There's each of these pictures will tell you a different story.
I know the storm came through. I guess it slowed y'all down a little bit till did it clear up after the storm?
It hadn't gotten as clear as it has been, but it's workable again. It's 20 foot of is. It's diveable. It's not.
It seems to be a little better the farther west you go.
Okay.
You got a really muddy layer at about 30 feet that takes away a lot of the light. It's dark everywhere you go.
Okay, what do we have right here?
This is diving on any of these bridge spans. There are a lot of pretty tropicals here in the summertime. Those are cocoa damsels. That's that white stuff in the background is sponge, and these feathery looking things. People think that's plant life, but it's actually some hydroids, just little marine animals, soft corals, I guess you could call them.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. You see that?
Oh, I see that now.
Yeah, well, it takes a pretty sharp eye to see it.
I saw that right away.
They can hide even better than that. I'm not
look
sure.
at that camouflage.
Yeah,
wow.
The camouflage is just fabulous. And you see these on the reefs around here. Well, here we go again.
That's all right. We
can
handle it.
The eels are. We don't have. Well, I can't say that because I just recently saw one of the giant
now, Clay,
morays.
Have you seen a lot of flounder yet?
Well, I've seen a few out in the deeper water, but I think they're starting to move in.
Okay.
It's surprising that when you're diving and you see the small minnows, it's time to look real close on the bottom because they'll be around those. And yeah, we've been getting a few even this early on around some of the bridge spans.
Can y'all see that one right there? Yeah.
Like I was saying, the eels. We have the spotted morays here. They aren't big enough to take your thumb off, but they can hurt when they bite you. I said that was the only one that's not from around here. I don't know how that got in there. That's a spot-tailed butterfly that is down in the reefs. See these things around on the reefs here, on usually deeper water. They call it a squirrelfish. It's a big-eyed squirrelfish. Of course, the locals know a different fish is a squirrelfish.
You're right.
Those sand squirrels and rock squirrels, but this is also a squirrelfish. That eye is like obviously from a reflection of the.
All right, I'll tell you what we'll do. This is a great picture. We'll go ahead and take our break. We've got some more great pictures coming up, so we'll be right back. Welcome back. Glad you're with us today. Sitting here with Bob Stapleton and Clay Galbraith from Divers Inn. I was talking about everything on top of the water, fishing and all, and these guys can bring it to us underwater because they stay underwater as much as we fish, and it's great. And like the story on the lionfish a while ago, I had no idea there was that many lionfish up here already. I knew they were coming, but wow, that's something. But we got some great pictures, Clay and Bob. What else we got going?
I think anybody would recognize this as a triggerfish. We find them out there. They're kind of dangerous for spear fishermen. One of the most dangerous fish there is because a lot of people don't string them properly, and if he's alive, and which they normally are, even after you shoot them, they can bite you bad.
They can bite pretty bad.
Yeah,
huh?
they'll bite you bad. Yeah.
Have you been bitten by one?
I think most everybody has once, but it's usually only once. You figure out a way to manage them so they don't. Okay. Just some more of the pretty fish. That's a drum. It's again, it's not the kind. Here's some bizarre fish. Let me back up to that. I zoomed in, didn't mean to. That's a batfish. Okay. They kind of walk around on their fins on the bottom. I mean, if you were to design a fish, and I don't think I'd design it that way. It doesn't look like it'd work too good, but I guess it does.
It probably serves a purpose.
Yeah, it serves a purpose. They managed to get by out there. You can just reach down and pick them up, pretty much. But
okay.
There's some pretty fish that we have here. Look at the gill rakes on that one, on the
Wow.
On the edge of his. I mean, I wouldn't, if I caught one of those, if you ever do catch one, I never have, but if you did, I don't think I'd want to handle them. They got some serious spikes right there on their operculum, yeah.
I see them.
Yeah, that could hurt you. I wonder if everybody recognizes that.
I'm getting hungry already.
Yeah. That's a red grouper. Find those out on the reefs here. We'll get out of the fish here in a minute and get into there. Do you see that? Probably not. In fact, they camouflage themselves much better a lot of times. There's the face of it and the body of a frogfish. Yeah, it's easy to pass those up. Now this is a story here. That's a crab I saw on the bottom. It's a shame-faced crab, or a box crab they call it. And I thought, that's unusual. He's just sitting out there on the sand. Usually they're parked up under somewhere and aren't out in the open like that. And I went over and took his picture and turned him over, and look at that. He's got some Power Pro all wrapped around his legs. He's tied up there.
Goodness.
So that was a good day for me to be in the water.
So you did a good deed, huh?
Yeah, I took him, and it was so tangled up I couldn't undo it without taking my knife out and unthreading him. But
good for you.
I got him all loose and turned him loose. So
we always talking about doing something good for somebody. I guess
well,
you do something
I found
good
a
for
turtle out there one day, snagged up. I think there's a video on YouTube of that. Really? I saw him struggling. I thought it was weird that he's just moving around in one place, and released him. That's just sea urchin. They decorate themselves with shells and stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Kin to the sea urchin is the sea cucumber, and they're out there a lot. All varieties of colors. Now the people that like the seashells and stuff, sometimes you can find a lot of them. That's a mass of Atlantic murex that are gathered up. There's a couple of hairy tritons, another kind of shell the shell collectors really appreciate these because you don't find them up on the shore.
Right.
They get crushed up. There's a true tulip. And that's an interesting picture because right at the top there, I think the next one will show it a little better, is laying eggs. So obviously I didn't interfere with it. I let her finish doing her business. And,
really nice.
But a pretty shell to find around here. That on the left is a little fuzzy, but I just took my camera, stuck it up under the ledge, and took a picture. And that's a deer cowrie, really colorful, beautiful shell. But they have this covering over them. That's the same kind of shell. I don't even have a picture of the shiny parts, but they can.
That's a good picture.
Now that's what you can expect to see around here when you're diving in the summertime with. Well, let me back up one of. The kind of bait fish. That's probably on top of one of these bridge spans.
Wow.
And you can see the packed out with bait and cigar minnows. And
it makes you wonder, as a fisherman, you drop your bait down, what makes them go choose your bait?
Exactly. Well, like Clay was saying, your bait's a little wounded. It doesn't look as lively as those, and maybe it's really got a better chance of getting bit than one of those live ones. It's interesting to get on the outside of the bait ball where the Spanish mackerel and the bonita and the amberjack, all the fish come zooming in, and you can see them feeding on the bait ball sometimes.
Okay. If we'll go ahead, we'll get ready to take our final break, but we got some more pictures and we'll be right back. Welcome back. So here we're folks from Divers Den, and we're talking about the oldest and the best dive shop in this area.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back further than me in diving, so it's got to be old.
I was trying to come up with some kind of catchy phrase, and Clay gave you a compliment. We're the oldest and most experienced. Before we get back to dive, we're going to give away a T-shirt in just a second, but let's look at our time for today. I'll just tell you real quick, this afternoon from 3:48 to 5:48 will be the peak times for the activity today. 3:48 to 5:48. Now, you showed the shirt. We're going to give away this Divers Den T-shirt. Okay, come on.
Logo for the Divers Den.
A really nice shirt. What size is that?
This particular one, I think get whatever size I want.
This
is an XL.
XL, all right. Clay's better half gave us that one, okay? So let's.
Look at that, Bob Stapleton.
Oh, yeah. Gary Deal, D-I-L-L. Gary Deal is a winner. So you come by Fox 28 Studios. I showed y'all yesterday where the studio is located. Come by and pick it up, Gary, and glad you watched your show. We're going to write on the back of it, shirt. Okay? Now, let's get back to some of these underwater pictures and all that. I know it's just a different world down there, and I know y'all love doing what you do.
We do, and some of y'all, the fishermen out here, probably have a little trouble when they get around these wrecks and reefs. ideally you set your anchor in the sand and let your boat drift back over.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes things don't work out right for you. And
What's going on here?
Your anchor hits the wreck. Well, it can get tangled, and I retrieve a lot of them.
Do you?
That's what you can see over my head there is a lift bag. So it's just fill that bag up with air, and it'll lift the anchor up. You can see it. That's a pretty good size anchor there. Somebody lost a lot of value with that one. If you're hurting for an anchor, you might contact me. I might have it. I find them down there. Sometimes they got the stickers on them, and you can see how different people rig them. You can know if it's an experienced person that knows what they're doing, or some novice dropping a mushroom anchor, thinking that'll hold them.
Okay.
Let's see what else we got here. That's just some pictures of divers checking his gauges, swimming along. It's pretty important you keep up with how much air you've got.
Yes.
If you run out of air down there, you've got some issues. But that's why you take the training course. Even if you made that mistake, hopefully you're diving with a dive buddy, as these people are, and they'll have a spare air for you, an octopus extra regulator that you carry with you. It's not so much for the diver that's carrying the extra regulator, it's for somebody else to use if
safety is just foremost in y'all's diving, right?
It's all about safety. Yeah. I mean, the requirement, the necessity for taking the course is know how to do it safely. Yeah. I mean,
talking about courses now. How often do y'all do your courses?
Through the summer, we do them every weekend. We're still doing them every weekend, but they're fixing to probably drop back to every other weekend. But if somebody has a schedule they need us to go off of, we can work around your schedule in the winter and do some classes. The 3 days, start to finish. 3 consecutive days is 3 full days. You get certified.
Cool. Okay. That's good. Let's show some more pictures here.
No, that's nice. Just me showing off.
What you got there?
that's a big old ling I shot. This was more than I got a big one this year too. That one was probably 50 pounds. I got a 66-pounder this year.
Wow.
But it's interesting too to see the stripe on them. I mean, you don't always see them striped up like that, but they've got to be related to the remoras, because the small ling look so similar to remora when they'll swim with the rays and stuff. And
I've always thought they were cousins too. I really did.
I could do a little.
Now let me ask you this: our fishermen, our cobia fishermen this year, and we talked about it a lot. I talked to a lot of them. They had an off year right here locally. Now, underwater, did y'all see as many cobia this year as you normally would? Or can you judge it?
Probably. I saw
west of us, they got plenty.
But see, there's so many of them when they're moving along the shore. We don't see that many. But when they are moving along shore, they're also moving across these wrecks that we dive out here, and we see them at the same time. Although you're liable to see a cobia out there in the deeper water any time of the year. I mean, I've seen them out there in the winter, but they're more common in the times when they're migrating.
Well, that's what they were saying. These pier fishermen, they were convinced that there was shield out there so far from the water. And those fish went around that shield and went back into Destin.
I think they can figure it.
See, I think there was quite a few of them taken this year by divers that were on the. I mean, the one Bob shot was on the Bart.
Yeah.
One of the most dove wrecks in the Gulf, and that's where he shot his cobia. He just happened to be there at the right time when he come by.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool. Okay. Let's show a couple more of these.
That's my wife enjoying the scenery. I don't know if he's got some of those cigar minnows in the foreground and a lot of spade fish in the background. It's interesting to hang out in a school of these spade fish. They look like little old men's faces on them in fish suits, because they'll come all around you, and if you stick your arm straight out or your spear gun out or even your fin out, they'll come up and start rubbing on it. I don't know what. I think
they're cats.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're like cats. That's right. I mean, that's an interesting way to put it.
Now listen, have y'all found Nemo yet? That's a big question. Y'all get asked that.
We're looking. Nemo's lost, I think. Some people are freaked out about jellyfish. This has been a season when we have had issues with jellyfish here. There'll be clouds of them coming by. Normally, they're not much of a problem for divers because you see them and avoid them. Yeah. But when they are really thick, fortunately, this year, just moved to another dive site. It might only be a quarter mile away, and there won't be any. And then sometimes we have to adjust our diving for that. But normally, when there are a lot of jellyfish around, even a lot of them. You see them, so you just swim around them. I mean,
Yeah.
and the kind we have here, they sting, but they're not bad. I mean, it's not a big issue.
All right.
Here's up at Morrison Springs. That's down in the spring, looking back up through the cavern hole up to another diver up there.
That's pretty.
It's a beautiful place to dive around here. Do some of our checkout dives up there. Some of the dive training at Morrison Springs. This is if you dive the hovercraft or the Jeff boat, they call it. This is just a section of it.
Okay.
That, you can see how you can get your fishing line hung on that. And you can see how clean it is too. It's an aluminum hull boat that's been down there since the 90s, I guess.
Wow,
I don't know exactly when it was
nothing's
put down.
adhering to it, is it?
Right, well, not much. It
Really?
doesn't really get encrusted. On the bridge spans, where the steel structures, they are totally encrusted. You can't put your finger on a piece of steel. But on the aluminum, it's
Now, I was going to ask y'all, you got certain areas where you have more fish than others on these underwater, like the aluminum, obviously, that's not holding much, so.
It does. I've heard a lot of people say that snapper like aluminum better than anything else.
Really?
That's what I've heard, and that's a great place. And if for the fishermen, if you anchor up so that you're fishing right on the wreck, you're missing the fish. They're not right on the wreck. They're off on the sand, a little up current. So if you're 40, 50 feet off of it, then you're in a better position to catch fish. Of course, the snapper will come to your bait wherever you put it, but I mean, they're the easiest fish there is to catch, but they're out there.
All right, well, listen, we're about to run out of time. Y'all, well, we got a lot more pictures too, don't we?
We got plenty.
This is going to work out great. We just experiment with this, see if this works good. I think it works great. So,
Yeah, it seems to.
you can put it on there and talk about it as we do it. Well, I appreciate y'all getting up this early.
It was awful early.
Y'all got to go to work now? Or
Oh yeah, I have to work hard. I got to go home and work on making a little breakfast and take a cup of coffee.
Well, I'm going to work.
Good. Folks, thank y'all for watching. Gave us a great look at underwater today, so we appreciate y'all watching the show. Sometime today now, you do something good for somebody, and see you tomorrow. God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.